We'll move on to item 7.1, a brief report on the new nursing graduate hiring survey by Executive Vice Chancellor Skinner.
Good morning, President Malumed, members of the Board of Governors. The item that's before you is an informational item, just providing an update for you on a recently released survey that was conducted by the California Institute of Nursing and Healthcare, and our office worked with this body to conduct the survey. I'm pinch hitting for Vice Chancellor Jose Millan, who had to head back up to Sacramento for business. And the survey is actually pretty straightforward. Just like to briefly cover a couple points. The survey was initiated because there was an awareness that graduates of nursing programs were having a hard time finding work. And that came as a bit of a shocker because we've been working hard over the last decade as a state to try to address a shortage of nurses. And the state's invested millions and millions of dollars, many of those dollars within our budget, to expand the production of nurses. So the fact that these graduates are having trouble finding work was kind of a vexing public policy problem. Essentially, what the survey illuminated was that is in fact the case. That of recent licensees, only about 57% are currently working. So it's 43% of recent nursing licensees are unable to find work in their chosen profession. And essentially, what's going on in the labor market is that due to the current economic crisis, there has been a change in the retirement patterns. Essentially, individuals in that profession are putting off their retirement because their retirement savings took a hit when the recession impacted all of us. And so essentially, I think most of the observers of this kind of labor market phenomenon feel that there's still a nursing crisis. It's a matter of just it's been delayed. And so what's likely to happen is once 401ks recover, hopefully within a couple years, individuals will proceed with their retirement plans, and there'll probably be an even greater rush of nurses out the doors at that point. And so what the survey does is just provides us with a little better understanding of what's going on, and perhaps from a policy perspective, the most interesting aspects were that they asked individuals who have received their license in nursing but aren't working, would you be interested in an unpaid internship as a way to keep a connection with this workforce and to prepare yourself to be even more competitive for opening positions? And there was an overwhelming, I think it was an 85% interest in those unpaid internships. That's a surprise. And nearly half of the individuals surveyed would even be willing to pay a tuition in order to have that kind of work experience. And so I think that opens the door for some policy conversations that our office will be engaged in, and I'm sure we'll have more to report back to you at future points in time. But the conversation essentially is how do you keep these individuals who have made significant personal investments in their nursing training, and the public has made significant investments in their training, how do you keep them engaged in the workforce long enough so that when those retirements do hit, and there are the positions and the need for trained nurses, that these individuals are still accessible and able to enter the workforce at that time.
Well, thank you for the report. That's an area that I am personally interested in. And if it's okay, we'll move on to our board reports. Is that okay with our members? Next item, 7.2, board member reports. I will mention I did see board member Izumi on the big screen and waiting for Superman, so how about if you start?
Thank you very much. As your
Do we need the music? Do we need the music?
Right. as your husband said, if you blinked, you did miss me. So I appreciate that very much.
He was in the movie?
A couple things. I had the pleasure of going to Mount San Antonio College, where the college of my colleague here, Manuel Baca's college, and moderated a panel on military ethics and recruitment and counseling. And it was in front of a group of about 100 career counselors, which was, I think, an excellent event and very successful. I also attended a national education conference at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, sponsored by the U.S. Army, the National Association of State Boards of Education, Council of Chief State School Officers, and others. And finally, I've been invited back to Doha, Qatar in December to attend the second annual World Innovation Summit on Education sponsored by the Queen of Qatar. And so I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
Member Baca.
Okay, I just have a couple of things. First of all, I attended the NICE graduation at Compton College, and I want to congratulate El Camino and the Compton Center staff and faculty for the work that they did on that. Assemblyman Furatani was the graduation speaker, and as usual, he did a very fine job giving full recognition to the efforts of the community colleges to recognize a group of individuals whose lives were thoroughly disrupted by the internment during World War II, and it was great, very inspiring to see many of them there that day, either they or their children or family members there to represent them and to receive the graduation awards. I don't know if we'll get another chance before he, I don't think we will until after he leaves, but I wanted to thank Jose Millán for the work that he's done with the Chancellor's office and all the support that he's provided the local districts. I guess he's needed to go up north and do some work there. I mentioned yesterday I attended the foundation gathering over in Palm Springs along with Member McDonald, and you know, this thing that we're going to begin to engage in for April, Hands Across California, I think is something that we should certainly support, and it would be something that I would be kind of pessimistic about actually achieving, but given that we've got the guy who can actually make it happen, I think we'll be able to do it, and I think the students will be inspired to get involved in that, and I think it'll be a great event and hopefully bring closure to that matching amount that we need to achieve. And lastly, I just want to recognize Dr. Malumed's work during the past year, and I think it's been a very successful year, and just wanted to extend my appreciation for the work you've done this year.
Thank you very much. That's very sweet. Member Thomas.
Yes, thank you. Throughout the last probably close to a year, I've been giving the board reports on what's been going on with the League's Commission on the Future. So this will probably be my final report on that, and that is because the report is being rolled out November 17th, I believe, is the final date. But in mid-September, I attended one of the regional information workshops that were held around the state regarding the work of the CCLC Commission on the Future. The intent of the workshops was to provide community college leaders and constituents and interested parties with an overview of the goals and recommendations being proposed. And certainly I attended the one in Sacramento, and I know that there were other workshops all over the state. And everything that I heard was that the work of the commission and the recommendations that would be coming forth were very well received, and that the system is ready to get behind those kinds of things and work towards it. There was a great deal of enthusiasm about recognizing that we need to maybe make some positive changes and getting behind those changes. Since those regional meetings, the commission members and League staff have been reviewing and fine-tuning the document, and the report, which is titled A Vision for 2020 Student Success for California Community Colleges, is scheduled to be rolled out via a very public press release, I believe, press conference, I believe held in the Los Angeles area. Is that correct? Great, thank you. A fellow commission member can add to that. And then copies will be available at the League's annual conference. And so I really encourage all of you to obtain a copy and to look at that, and I do believe that there are a lot of nuggets in there that will be able to be utilized with Board Member McDougall and his latest task on the Task Force for Student Success. And I too would like to extend my thanks to President Malumed for her year of leadership, and thank you for your efforts and what you've done, and look forward to the next year.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Member Ramos?
Thank you, and I'm going to echo the gratitude that we all owe to you, Dr. Malumed, for your service. No, that's absolutely true and warranted. So thank you, and thank you, and thank you. I'm going to talk about a couple of things. As all of you know, probably too well, I've been spending much of my time, maybe most of my time in relationship to this service, trying to become a permanent member of this body. So I've been meeting with a lot of people who might be able to help, and they've all been very generous. We're still on hold to see what's going to happen, though. More seriously, though, and concretely, I've just joined the board of the Cuesta College Foundation. Very pleased to be in active service on that board of directors. I have been actively participating, as you all know, as one of our liaisons to the foundation board, and I too am extremely pleased about yesterday's development in relationship to our prospects to meet the OSHA grant match requirement. And finally, I just want to say, as a matter of some personal interest, I note with interest that the American GI Forum, Rudy Escalante chapter, among other important community organizations, is continuing to express important views that we need to take into account regarding Title V regulation changes. This organization, as you know, is the oldest and largest veterans organization in the United States that is principally made up of Latino veterans. It's an organization that I started my career working for in Washington, D.C. as the organization's special assistant to the national chairman. And I raised this issue because on PBS's Independent Lens this evening and again next week, I will be one of the featured commentators on a very important documentary on the GI Forum's early history in shaping important changes in the legal rights of Latinos and other minority populations across the Southwest, the Midwest, and other parts of the country. And it will be airing on PBS stations around the nation, both on DirecTV tonight and on other PBS affiliates next week. And I urge and encourage you all to take a look at it, not because I'm in it, but because it's a very important history that too few of us know about in relationship to the role of veterans organizations in really helping communities like the one that I come from find a civic voice in our culture and opportunity in our great country. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Baum?
Thank you, President Malumed. A couple of things. First off, I also think Member Price attended the network of community college foundation conferences, so we really were very well represented in that. And I extend my thanks to the foundation for the invitation to attend that. I think they're doing terrific work in informing the system about opportunities and best practices in institutional advancement. I was pleased to participate in a meeting in wearing a different hat, though, with Barry Russell. The college system is a partner with the California Council on Humanities on a major grant that was just awarded by the National Endowment for the Humanities to improve the state of civic discourse in our nation, and using the humanities as a channel to achieve that, and working together on a project that will be presented next March 4th in Los Angeles, where a symposium of scholars as well as media folks and others to talk about what they call bridging cultures and improving the state of civic discourse in our region and in our nation. And Barry's part of that steering committee as well, and I know the community college system will be pleased to be a partner in that effort as well. I was pleased to have the chancellor down at Pasadena City College about 6 weeks ago for the installation of our new president, Mark Rocha, and it was a great day for our institution, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to introduce our new president to the Board of Governors at some point. The last thing I want to talk about too is also a little an inspiring moment that project that I was able to participate in last week. I recently returned from Kuwait, where I was part of an accreditation site visit team for the American University of Kuwait. It is a young institution founded about 6 or 7 years ago in trying to help introduce and establish American-style educational institution in the Middle East. And there's a number of other experiments going on in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, but Kuwait is, this is unique to Kuwait, and an interesting region where they have primarily domestic students attending there. But leading this institution are a number of American scholars in the department with which I was asked to review, which is the Department of Media and Communications, is part of their Division of Humanities. And the head of the Humanities Division is a California Community College veteran instructor and administrator. He came through American River College and San Joaquin Delta College, and his name's Craig Loomis. And it was, and the lessons learned and the knowledge gained through the community college system, as well as their dean of students is a former community college administrator, is very helpful to that region as they work with the students across a broad range of skills and interests and traditions. And in essence, many of them are all first-year college students, because there isn't a robust higher education system in that part of the world. And the idea of a broad-based general liberal arts type educational system is a relatively new development. And I was just very proud to see that there is leadership from the California Community College system that is engaged in this. And so I bring the greetings and wanted to share that in my report. Thanks.
Very interesting. Vice President Himmelstein?
First and foremost, I'd like to thank you, President Malyamid, for your leadership this year, your partnership with me this year. You provided some very great vision for the board, and I appreciate it. I also wanted to take a moment and thank the rest of my colleagues for putting your faith in me. I look forward to a great year. I have a high bar to reach up to, and I intend to do it with your partnership. On that note, I've talked with Vice President-elect Perez and the Chancellor. I think we got off to a great start this last year by having a retreat in January and talking about setting our goals, finding the 2, 3, 4 things that we wanted to do. I would hope that we could talk about some legislative ideas as well. So without great objection, I will go ahead and schedule that for our next meeting to start early. And again, I so look forward to working with all of you over this next year.
I did want to mention, I met about a month ago with the Parsons engineering company that had come before our board a few months ago. I went and met with them with Jose Millan. So we're still working on ways that they can work with our students. So that was one meeting I did. And I did want to thank the board. It's been a great year. I actually have, it was a growing experience for me, because I have never chaired a formal meeting, a public meeting, and a large meeting. Even though I've done it in my medical groups, it's a lot more informal. So it's been a great growing experience. I've given it a lot of effort, and I will continue to rally for community colleges and love being a part of the family. So hopefully I will be reappointed and confirmed and be with you for a long time. So thank you all, and thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it. Member Reed.
I just want to report out on our foundation. Henry and I attended a meeting in San Francisco with the foundation board, and then following that, we have a separate investment committee now that's overseeing the OSHR funds as well as the WellPoint monies, and those funds are being directed by J.P. Morgan in San Francisco, and we continue to have a number of teleconference meetings with them, and I think that this board could be confident that we've chosen the right firm to manage those monies on our behalf. Great. And the monies now are getting out into the colleges for the OSHR grant money for the year, and are being well received as far as my feedback has been. I also had the pleasure of attending a groundbreaking for the College of Sequoia is building a new career ag tech center in Tulare, California, near my hometown. And it's very innovative, and it's going to be exciting. So hopefully as this board looks to visit rural colleges in California, this Ag Tech Center might be a 2017 project for us. So I'd like to put my, and then you can have the pleasure of driving. I think I better stop.
Good thoughts, Member Perez.
Talk about planning ahead. I like that. So I attended the CPEC board meeting back in September, and Barbara Davis-Lyman also attended the first day of that as well. A couple of interesting topics that was discussed. One of them is no surprise to many of you, and it's the funds allocated towards higher education versus the corrections area. And they actually gave us a graph, and I'll pass it around for everybody to see. But if you look at back in the 1970s, the state appropriation as a percentage of the California GDP, at that time, 0.6% of the budget was higher education, and 0.2% of the budget was the corrections. Over the course of the years, if you go into the 80s, the education system goes actually up to 1%, and the corrections goes down. It's still relatively flat at 0.2, slightly above. If you look at fast forwarding to 2010, higher education has gone down below 0.6%, slightly above 0.5, and corrections has gone all the way up to that same amount, which is, you know, for me, quite despairing, the fact that we're spending more on the corrections area than we are on higher education. More importantly is the fact, and no pun intended, that we have a captured audience within the corrections area, and we're not educating them. We're doing nothing to do that. So one of my goals this year is to actually start some advocacy work to start trying to get some education into the prison systems, because if we're not educating, what are we actually doing? You know, we're not setting them up for success when they get out as well. And I know that's a controversial issue, but I did want to bring that forward. And I'll pass this around so those of you can see it. The other thing that was a good report that we had was we actually had a report on the California independent colleges and some of the growth that's happening there. And as many of us are aware, currently because of budget constraints, we are turning away students. The UCs and the CSU are all turning away students. What they're actually predicting, though, which I thought was, you know, kind of interesting from a growth perspective, is that they're predicting a 16.4% growth looking towards 2019 in their numbers. Community colleges is estimated to increase by 17.2%, and CSU is by 15%, and UC is slated to increase by 11.7%. So you can see there's a tremendous amount of increase that's happening within those colleges. And when we question them as to, you know, what do they attribute some of that effort to, well, obviously it's because the traditional public systems cannot accept that enrollment. But in addition to that, they have a tremendous effort of recruiting early on at the high school level. They're going out. In addition to their recruiting efforts, they're also helping students find ways to fund the education as well. Now, we all know that's a higher cost for that education, but some of the information that they provided us, which I thought was kind of interesting, was just some information on their actual graduation rates for these students. And two of the colleges actually spoke to us. Whittier College was one of them. And they told us at Whittier that their students are completing in 4 years, and they're seeing a 90% completion rate. And then La Vernier is also having probably a 6-year completion time frame, and they're seeing 70% of a completion rate where students are actually getting a degree. One of the things that was interesting to me, though, is when you look at, you know, their population of growth, who are the actual students that are going into that system, they're estimating that Latino students will increase by about 45% from where they are today. And it's interesting because the Latino students are not having as much success in our community college system, but they tend to have more success within that system. American Indians are increasing by 26%, Asians by 17%, and blacks by 14% is what they're estimating. And the other thing that they talked about is part of the success that they attribute to the Latino African American students is they put a high emphasis on basic skills within the school, and they have a big commitment to making sure that they get the funding to have programs to ensure that students have that basic skill set. And Barbara, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, because I know you were there on that day when we were going through that data.
Yes, I thought what was interesting is Alice and I had heard at our last board meeting, as we all did, from Vice Chancellor Perry about the decrease in our first-time freshmen and that within 3 years, we've got to look at that very carefully because it's going to come around and bite us, and we won't have those continuing students like we do now. And what happened was when we went to CPEC, what we heard was the opposite is happening in these small private liberal arts. They are growing by about the same percentage their first-time freshman classes. And so, you know, I think at our retreat this might be something that we might want to have on the agenda. Thank you, Alice.
And the other thing I would say is just, you know, as we continue to have dialogue around Title V, I think we still need to continue to consider the impact to these students as we're considering the recommendations to change Title V. The other thing is Assemblymember Marty Block came and talked to us. He's the new chair of higher education, and he laid out some different bills and initiatives that he's working on. One that I thought was kind of interesting, and Marlene, you might have talked to us about this, I just don't remember. It was AB 2400, and that's actually a bill to allow community colleges to start granting bachelor degrees. 17 states are doing it today. They're indicating that a workforce need is not currently being met by the UC or CSU system. So that'll be interesting to see where that goes. I haven't heard much about it from our dialogue, but I just thought that'd be interesting to share that with you. And then President Malumet, again, I want to thank you for your leadership over the course of the year. I do appreciate the fact that you have ran a very efficient meeting and have been very cognizant of our time here at the Board of Governors. I think it's really important that the time we spend here is time spent well, and so I want to thank you for your leadership. And I look forward to continuing to have you as a partner and a team member on the Board of Governors.
Absolutely, here to help. Thank you. Member McDougall.
Just to thank you so much for your leadership as well. I think that your comment about your lack of experience certainly didn't show in the practical application you presented as a chair, so thank you.
I bought a few books, so I studied hard. Thank you. Member Davis-Lyman.
Thank you. On September 22nd, I had the pleasure of going to College of the Canyons, where I was asked to deliver a keynote speech where Dr. Patty Robinson, who is the current Dean of Social Science and Businesses, for the second year has gathered over 100 deans from Southern California to come together to discuss issues and concerns and to get information. I was part of a tag team, and the other two members of that tag team were Vice Chancellor Barry Russell and Stephanie Lowe from the Chancellor's office. We thoroughly enjoyed the mixture of the people there, the content of their questions and what they wanted to talk about in kind of a formal program on the first day. And then on the 23rd, there was an informal gathering of faculty, administrators, classified, and students at a kind of open round table. It was very exciting for us to have been there. I'd also like to say that the accreditation task force is still meeting, and we will have a conference call on November 16th, so there will be something to report back in January. Debbie, again, thank you for bringing your heart and your soul to this position of leadership, and it'll be great to have you sitting with us out here now, and with the kind of support that you give and you believe in this community college system.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Member Haley.
Well, I too just have to keep adding to your praises. We really have appreciated your year, Chair and Dr. Malumet.
Thank you.
It has been a wonderful year for us with your leadership. And we'll be missed as a leader, but we have wonderful people following you up, I know, but we will be so happy to have you at the table with us then.
Well, thank you. You've always been a big help. Thank you. Member Price?
Okay, I did attend the foundation symposium. It was really nice to only have to drive 15 minutes to get there. I really enjoyed the speakers. It was nice to get an insight on how much work it goes into raising money for these foundations. On October 22nd through the 24th, I attended the California Community College Student Affairs Association Fall Leadership Conference. CSAW is made up of professionals in the field of student affairs. I was able to talk to their board of directors and was invited to their business meeting. At this business meeting, they discussed fundraising in which they provide 10 scholarships in the amount of $750 to students each year. And they also discussed continued support of the SSCCC. The organization serves as a liaison to the SSCCC. Overall, it was a really great conference. The workshops are really geared toward what is important for student leaders to know. And I felt that a great deal of thought was put into that conference, and they really made sure that the students had a good time. I also attended the Student Senate's Fall General Assembly. I attended workshops and was able to make a lot of connections with students and got a feel for what was important to them. I've had many conversations with students over the past month, both by attending the Seesaw Conference and attending the General Assembly. It has been brought to my attention through these conversations that students are concerned about the eligibility criteria to serve as members of the SSCCC Council. The students feel it is important that students that represent them at the state level have a real connection with the community college and with their local AS. I've also had some concerns with some resources that are lacking with the council. I believe it would be beneficial for both the Chancellor's Office and the SSCCC, as well as the Board of Governors, that the SSCCC have a parliamentarian as well as legal counsel present at their business meetings. I believe that the Student Senate is a powerful ally and would encourage the focus of their business to return to their shared governance responsibilities. I would like to suggest that to the other board members that we ask the Chancellor's Office to look into these concerns and come back with a report and some recommendations. It's my report.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Member McDonald.
I too want to start out with some thank yous. I want to say thank you to you, Madam Chair, for your efforts and your work. And thanks for coming by the Black Chamber office and finding me in Rancho Santiago to say hi. Yeah, I appreciate that. I also want to say thank you to Dr. Tom Fallow and El Camino College. They have put on a real doggone good show, especially that tour today and the tour today of Compton College and the tour yesterday. But I'm also pleased that not only we're here, and maybe he set it up this way, but they received the Rice Award this year from Project Success. We had a great presentation yesterday from the MESA program that was doing real well. And I just wanted to say thanks to Ann Garden and Janine for their staff and the people over here that gave us a great program. Way to set it up for the year.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that I did happen to, well, we've got a board reception coming up on the 19th next week at the league that we had set up so that people can come and mix and mingle with the Board of Governors. But also, I know that you're all probably disappointed because you don't have your community college notes there in front of you that says from Bobby Mack. Put it together. But the reason being is because I'm working on the package. Manuel and I are working on the package for next week when we do Veterans, the community college best kept secret panel at 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, September 20th. And you'll get more information on that during the week. We'll send that out. So that's when you'll get that. But we're happy that that's coming together as thanks to my partner over there in the Veterans Committee, Manuel Baca. And we've got Sarah Manzano Diaz, who is with the U.S. Department of Labor and the Director of Women's Bureau for on the panel. But the significant piece that Manuel and I really, really appreciated is she has been involved with women veterans and homelessness. So our timing is right to have her there on the panel along with Rocky Garcia and Manuel and our own Valerie Purnell. So we're looking forward to that Veterans program. And by the way, the title is Veterans, the Community College's Best Kept Secret. Also, tomorrow I'll be back out this way again. There's a veterans program, Honor a Hero, Hire a Vet, a program that we are part of with the community colleges with the Employment Development Department. And they're having their program over at the Proud Bird over by the LAX. And then last week I attended the one in Santa Ana at the train station. So also I had an opportunity to speak as the opening speaker and on a panel at the Western Regional Conference for Black American Affairs. I get a chance to be on a panel with the new Assistant Attorney General from Arizona, and the new president at University of Southern Nevada, and of course I represented from the community colleges and for California. So it was a pretty good panel, and it was very interesting and enlightening. I also had a chance to go attend the SB 1440 signing with the Chancellor and Chancellor Reed, which was and Senator Padilla, which was very, very unique and very, very, wonderful to have the students there. But it also brings a completion and a hope that when you finally now, when you get a path to get your 60 units, you can transfer. I also had an opportunity to attend the General Assembly Student Senate a couple weeks ago with Dr. Harold Tyler from El Camino, who's back there, and also Dr. Carlos Maldonado from the College of the Deserts. I got a chance to sit in the back with them and just take notes and observe, because I had the opportunity to speak a year ago at the Assembly. So I wanted to go just as an observer, just to take a look and see what we could do. And I kind of concur, not kind of concur, I do concur with Board Member Price that we do need to take a look at it, and at our board meeting and her issues, because I concur with that, and we ought to bring that up, and that ought to be a topic of conversation for us at our board meeting and on our retreat. Because those issues, we're shared governance, and we need to take a look at the things we're doing for shared governance throughout the state, because we represent all 112 community colleges. And her comments are well taken. And we should look into it and help our students. Okay. And with that, I'd like to say again, thank you, all of you, for serving me through this year, and we'll see you next week at the meeting or at the Veterans Function, 8 o'clock, 9:30. Veterans, the community college best kept secret. Be there.
And thank you. And on that note, I haven't asked board members, can I just ask you to raise your hand if you're going to be at the conference, the league conference next week? Okay. And are you all planning on being at our Friday night 7 to 9 reception?
On which night? Friday night?
Friday night. It's called Meet the Board of Governors. Bobby McDonald has shared this thought, and now it's going to happen. So it's part of the reception row. And we're going to have a room and some hors d'oeuvres and maybe even entertainment and music and things like that. Good. That sounds like a good group. We have a few more things to do. We have public comments, and we have about 5 people, and then we'll move on quickly.
Okay. Alfonso Alvarez from the American GI Forum.
Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Dr. Alfonso Alvarez. I'm commander of the Rudy Escalante chapter of the American GI Forum. I'm here today representing the State of California Department of GI Forum, which is the largest and oldest Hispanic war veterans organization. The motto of our organization is that education is our freedom, and freedom should be everybody's business. I am here today to express concerns regarding the proposed Title V regulation changes pertaining to prerequisites. Although this item is not on the agenda, I would like to share the concerns of my organization. We are concerned about the unintended consequences which may result from the implementation of this proposal. This proposal seeks to rid the statistical validation requirement of the current regulation. Statistical validation is a safeguard which ensures that implemented changes do not have adverse effects upon the students. It is through statistical validation that we will prevent institutional discrimination. We are further concerned that the current proposal does not adequately address the achievement gap of minority students. The achievement gap is a critical issue that is not merely solved by changing prerequisites. I understand the frustration that led to the proposed changes to Title V regulations, but there are other things that we can do, and there are other things that we should do to address this issue. My colleagues from the Los Amigos Education Committee have other feedback which should be considered. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Dr. Richard Ramirez of Los Amigos of Orange County.
Good afternoon, board members, staff members, and the rest of the folks in the audience. I am Dr. Richard M. Ramirez, and I'm here this afternoon representing Los Amigos of Orange County to address the proposed prerequisite policy change resolution. We know that this item is not on the agenda, but we wish to share relevant information and express a number of concerns which we strongly believe need to be considered by the board to ensure that the right decision is made relative to the direction of how to best provide an accessible and equitable curricular process for underprepared students in the California community colleges. We accepted the challenge that in order to fully comprehend the magnitude of the potential impact of the proposed prerequisite resolution, we needed to gather well-informed minds to share the perspective about the ramifications of the proposed resolution. This was done via a public hearing event held at Fullerton College in late June. You have received a copy of the report, and after your perusal, we believe you will agree the report contains critical information which raises a most serious question, which is, quote, will the proposed resolution create more harm than good for a significant number of our students, and will it close the community college door to those who need it the most, end of quote. Obviously, we in the community strongly believe the resolution will be more harmful than good, and yes, it will close the door to many underprepared students, specifically African American and Chicano Latino students. Beyond the public hearing, we have conducted extensive research and met with stakeholders who have a vested interest about the proposed resolution. An in-depth analysis of the process was exercised by those who proposed the resolution has raised a number of issues and concerns. We strongly believe board members need to consider these issues and concerns before a definitive decision is made on the proposed resolution. First, an analysis of the proposed resolution revealed that it lacks clarity and it needs to include research and evidence for the benefit of reliability and validation. Additionally, the inclusion of permissive language will create confusion and havoc for students, which may force students to enroll outside of the local district area. This may cause a financial burden on financial needy students, plus create an atmosphere of, quote, island hopping, end of quote, that is, moving from one college to another. Number two, although the proposed resolution was moved by a consultative council, there is a serious concern about the lack of transparency and ineffective communication throughout the community college system. We conducted an informal survey and contacted board members, faculty, students, administrators, and staff to get their perspective about the proposed resolution, and over 95% of them were unaware about the proposed resolution. We found this result to be very disturbing given the magnitude of the potential impact. Three, when we ask high-level institutional stakeholders a question, quote, how will the proposed resolution affect your college if it is approved and implemented, end of quote, the common response was, quote, it will create a significant loss of revenue and change the mission of the college, end of quote. This too is very disturbing, and we strongly encourage caution.
Dr. Ramirez, if you could wrap up, please.
I'm trying to. Thank you. There's another issue which has to be considered, as we strongly believe it has broader ramifications. The achievement academic gap for the African American and Chicano Latino students has to be one of the highest priorities to be considered by all stakeholders in the California community colleges. We believe there is a collective delusion that by addressing prerequisites, the achievement academic gap will be resolved. Again, we find this very disturbing, as we have found through our research that efforts that the gap issue is not a one-factor issue. We from Los Amigos want to make it very clear that we recognize the challenges faced by the public education, but we also want to acknowledge that great leaders are those who are well-informed. We believe you, board members, will make that effort toward that end. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Zeke Hernandez, President, Santa Ana LULAC, number 147.
Thank you. My name is Zeke Hernandez. I'm president of Santa Ana LULAC, League of United Latin American Citizens. I'm a past state director of LULAC. I'm here to make a couple of observations. One, first of all, to invite you, as I had a chance to talk with a member, Bobby McDonald, to invite you to consider Rancho Santiago as a site to visit sometime, whether it's 2011 or 2012, but sometime in the future, if we could consider that. I think we noted that the BLG has not been to Orange County for the past 10 years, and I don't know how long before that. But the invitation is open out there for you. I want to place to you a very strong support for the public comment portion that Dr. Richard Ramirez just provided you. I want to also make a couple of observations. I had the opportunity to be a community representative on the chancellor search for Rancho Santiago College, where the selection for Dr. Raul Rodriguez was made by the Board of Trustees. And as we sat together with faculty members and other members in terms of the deliberation as to the search and recommendation of the individual, there was a question that was put forth by, I believe it was faculty, well, it was put forth by the Vice Chancellor and with positive recommendation by the Faculty Senate. And that was a question in terms of how the new Chancellor would look at students as students come into the college on a revolving door process. I submitted to the members that I did not look at it as a revolving door process in terms of students coming into the college system. I saw it as a port of entry, where students, particularly Rancho Santiago, they were coming in mostly from Santa Ana Unified School District, Garden Grove Unified School District. I saw it as a port of entry for students where they would learn at the community college level and from there determine where they would want to go, whether it was transferring to another college, community college, if they, for reasons of mobility, et cetera, or to going on to a CSU and university system, to a private institution, or other technical learning institutions, or even for employment reasons. I saw these as destinations for that one student, and that we should be able to pay particular attention to the kind of chancellor that we were going to be selecting. I want to bring to your attention here, as I came into the room, I noticed the minutes of the September BOG meeting had made no reference to the testimony being provided by Los Amigos. I hope that through the prerogative of the chair or at the board members would consider that you provide an addendum to the minutes that would allow for that, because there's no mention of that.
Mr. Hernandez, you need to conclude.
Yes, I understand. I'm a veteran. I think you also have to look at Title V in terms of how it relates to veterans coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq, because those are going to be a particular segment, and I'm sure that's going to be talked at in your session next week. But those are also the students that would be looking at Title V ramifications. So I also ask you that you look into that. I have a couple of other observations, but I will not make them at that time, right now. But I think that you need to pay particular attention to the public participation in this process as we look at Title V. Thank you.
Thank you. Nahasi Ronald Lee from the Student Educational Center at Compton College.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to participate. My name is Nahasi Lee. I'm a student at the Compton Community Educational Center. And on behalf of the students at the Compton Community Educational Center, I'd like to thank you for your interest, concern, your visit today. I would like to let you know with all the tragedy, doom, and gloom that was presented to you today, the main intent of AB 318 was to get students, provide students the opportunity to participate in community college education. Students are going to class, they are graduating, they're having a great time. They don't really see the big green building that's causing all the trepidation. They don't worry about attending classes in the row building. They're having a good time. So the task that was intended is being taken care of. Secondarily, yesterday I sat before you as one of 30 students who are elected to represent the 2.9 million students in the community colleges in the Chancellor's office and in Sacramento. Today I sit before you as one of the 2.9 million students who do participate in community college education. I would like to concur with the assessment of the student member on the board and Mr. McDonald. There's some things that need to be rectified and addressed in regards to the actual student senate. One thing you need to add to that is student senate needs to have a stabilized funding mechanism. Yesterday I walked in and I said to myself, you guys are pretty comfortable in the fact that you guys can come to your meetings and not have to worry about who's paying for what, if there's enough money to get you there. Those 30 students every time they go to a meeting, they sit in trepidation whether they're going to have meals provided and things like that. The previous iteration of the Student Senate had $50,000 provided by the Chancellor's Office, $50,000 provided by the state legislature, which total $100,000. They tell me they have $30,000 this year. Moving on, yesterday you had a conversation in regards to site visits. At one time, there were 2 site visits, one in the north and one in the south. I'd like to let you know the value of site visits is I couldn't be sitting before you having a great time communicating to you. I was at the Board of Governors meeting in Sacramento in July, but I think it's very beneficial for you to get out on these campuses once a year, north and south, so that you can see the public. You met community people from the city of Compton. They wouldn't have had any opportunity to engage you in their environment. So there's value in you being at these locations, and I look forward to you continuing them in the future. Thank you, and I'll be available for comments afterwards.
Thank you. Last speaker is Marie Hollis from Concerned Citizens of Compton.
Thank you for having an opportunity to come and speak with you. I also want to thank you as the Board of Governors for coming to our area and visiting our campus. We were certainly privileged to have you. I'm here also to say to El Camino that we are grateful for your partnership there at the campus. However, I do have some concerns that I want to share with you. Had you not come down today, I would not have had an opportunity to speak with you because I would have never gotten to Sacramento. Some of the concerns of the community and I have shared them with the Compton Board as well as the El Camino Board, but I want to make sure that serious attention is given to these issues. As I've said before, Compton did lose its accreditation, but we did not lose our community pride. And we are very much concerned that we are considered as we move back to local control. The community is in strong support of the college as well as El Camino. But some of the things that we are concerned about is the situations that have occurred. The logo, our logo and our colors have disappeared. And we as a community are concerned about that because that is the heritage of our college and a heritage for our community. And we would like to see those colors and those logos and the logo return. We are concerned about the organizational structure on the campus. We are concerned about the role of our CEO. We are particularly proud of him because he inherited, believe me, one heck of a mess. And he has unraveled that mess, that it has gotten to a workable condition, a situation, and the college has begun to grow. And we are appreciative of that. I had an experience in June, and Debbie, it was just so nice to hear this group give you credit for your leadership. Well, we as a community have had the experience at the college that we are concerned in some instances that Dr. Cox, for an example, has not been given credit for and recognition for his leadership. I experienced in June picking up the commencement program, and as I looked over that graduation program, of course, all of the references was El Camino graduation. Well, in my mind, it was not El Camino graduation, it was Compton graduation, because those students had attended the campus at Compton. And as I looked through the program, and of all the work that Dr. Cox has done, and we as a community know the work that he has done because we've been there working beside him. His name was nowhere in that program, was not mentioned at all. He was not even considered as a participant of that graduation. That to me, and I had nothing to do with, was an insult to me. Just knowing what he had done and not to be given recognition for all the work that he had done. And then as
Ms.
I wa-
Hollis,
yes,
if you could conclude.
I will, okay.
Thanks.
As I watched your presentation today and the lack of the full participation of Dr. Cox there in that presentation. But as I say, we're so happy that you came to see the progress that we're making. And we just want more consideration given to us in this partnership rather than to look at it perhaps as a dictatorship. We're looking forward to your support, and we continue to look forward to El Camino's support. But do remember that we are a proud community, and we want to be respected for that.
Thank you.
That ends our public comment. Under new business, I just wanted to mention that the joint task force between the Board of Governors and the Board of Education is going to form with the subject of dual enrollment. And President-elect Himmelstein is the person chosen for that task force, and he'll be thinking about how he'd like it to form and when it will meet and who else might be working with him. So I just wanted to announce that. Any other new business at this time? Seeing none, we are adjourned.